When you're learning to wing foil or progressing in the sport, you're definitely asking yourself, what is the best foil to learn and progress with at the best price? I didn't think that there was one brand who could deliver a foil that gave you more riding range, an amazing price, and superior build quality. But now, there is. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the channel. Blaze here with West Coast Wing Foil, and today I wanted to talk about what I believe is the best foil for anyone learning to wing foil and progressing riders. When I started wing foiling, I had no clue what foil to buy. Quality, price, performance, aspect, brand. It seemed like you were always compromising in one of these categories. But then I found F4 and everything changed. A few weeks ago, I connected with the foil brand F4. F4 started in 2018 by a group of windsurf and kitesurf pioneers. They offered to send me one of their wing foils, and even before riding this thing, I was blown away for two reasons. Number one, the foil kit comes with two front wings. For the price tag, you can't get a package with two front wings from any other brand on the market. The fact that no other brands offer a kit with two front wing options is also wild because there is such a huge benefit to getting two wings right off the bat. If you want to learn what different front wing sizes do, check out my video on choosing the best foil, which I'll link in the description below, or download my free foil resource that I'll also link to in the description below. When I was looking to buy my first foil, I had a dilemma. I wanted to buy something that could get me up on foil as easily as possible. That meant getting a foil that had a front wing with a large surface area. But as I progressed, I wanted something smaller that would allow me to go faster, face less drag, and just be more nimble on windier days. As an added complexity, because I live in a place where wind can be light, a big front wing option is always nice to have for light wind days. With the F4 package that I'm going to link to in the description, you get both. The second element that blew my mind with the F4 foil package was that the two-wing package was cheaper than other foil brands who only offer one foil in their kit. Most people would think that that would only be possible if they used cheaper components or had a lower build quality, right? Well, if you take a deep dive into F4, they're actually one of the best foil brands on the market, strictly from a quality standpoint. At this point in my journey, I'm still thinking there must be a catch from the obvious benefits that I've explained, and there are a few things that I want to dive into a little bit later in this video. But the overall spoiler is that F4 foils performed way above my expectations, making the package that I received the only foil someone starting out or progressing in wing foiling should even consider buying. You get the big front wing, which you need when you're starting out to help get you up on foil, and then you have your smaller front wing that you can progress towards using more and more as you go along. Anytime wind is light, you're still going to have that large wing to fall back on that will allow you to get up and get going on foil, continue your progression, especially when there's light wind and all your other buddies are stuck on the beach. After my F4 foil arrived and I unboxed it, I was extremely impressed and super excited to get it out on the water. If you want to see the full unboxing video, I'm going to link that in the description below. One big factor for allowing the cheaper price tag is that the F4 kit includes an aluminum mast instead of a carbon mast. Aluminum is a cheaper material and theoretically not as strong as carbon, but the F4 aluminum mast is made sturdy and I really feel confident just looking at it straight out of the box. I had a Nash aluminum mast that bent on me after a few sessions, but that mast was made extremely light, and the build quality between these two foils are worlds apart. The F-foil mast really feels rock solid. It's a lot heavier because of the reinforced aluminum, solid base plate, and overall higher quality construction. If you're worried about weight, always remember that when something is in the water, it becomes about 50% lighter compared to when it's on land. So stronger build quality is always going to be preferred over a lightweight option when it comes to considering foils. F4 has a GP foil series, which is their premium lineup. That includes a carbon mast made extremely stiff. Those are more expensive, but the front and rear wings are actually the same. So if you want to upgrade later to a carbon mast, you can theoretically do that. I really don't think that it's needed for anyone new or intermediate, but it's nice to still have that option when you're progressing. I will try the carbon mast at some point down the road, and I'll make sure to create another video or review video about that with that carbon mast once I do. So the next step was to take this unit out and give it a test drive. It's winter here where I'm based, and wind is pretty sporadic at best in the winter. I finally got a day that looked promising. It was blowing about 15 knots, but gusting to 30 or 40, so I decided to give the smaller front wing a go. It was only 6 degrees outside, which is pretty damn cold and close to the lower limit that I'd even consider going out and going foiling. Up to this point, I hadn't done a ton of foiling on smaller foils. The smaller F4 foil that I got was 1,450 square centimeters. I'd say the low-end wind limit for intermediate riders using a foil this size is around 50 knots. The foil is high aspect, so it does help with lift and glide, and it always depends on your ability to pump to get up on foil. My first few pumps were a bit messy. When you have a smaller front wing, it's way easier to stall out trying to lean back to get lift with insufficient speed. For a smooth takeoff, you need to keep your weight forward, get some effective pumps in, and not rush to try to get up too quickly. If you do, you'll have this massive swing effect, which I experienced the first 2 times, along with some stalls and fails. I adjusted pretty quick, and as soon as I took off, I was amazed by how smooth and fast this foil was. It glided like butter and reinforced how incredible this package truly is for anyone new or advancing riders. I had some wicked riding despite the gusty and icy cold conditions. The stiffness of the mast really held up well, which maximizes your ability to cut up wind and have better responsiveness in your riding. I did struggle with my jibes on this smaller front wing, but that was more user error than anything else. You need to maintain a higher speed throughout the jibe compared to when you're on a bigger front wing so that you don't stall out. This was something that I wasn't used to and definitely had to adjust. The higher aspect wing also means that you can't turn as sharply. If you turn too sharp, your wingtip is going to come out of the water and it's difficult to adjust for the change in lift, and you're probably going to go down. So a lot of these small things were just purely based on me learning to ride a smaller front wing, and the foil itself did perform incredibly well. Full disclosure, I've only been out once on this foil, and I haven't even used the larger front wing yet. Once I get a few more sessions under my belt, I'm going to create another video about my experience with F4 foils. At this point, I do have a few things that I want to point out, and I will add additional updates in the video description if anything changes as I'm discovering anything new or worth mentioning about F4. Based on everything that I've seen, I'm confident that F4 is the real deal. You can't beat the price-quality combination. It's really outstanding to have those 2 factors, and I believe it's the best option for anyone learning to wing foil or progressing riders looking for a system to grow with. This is my 3rd foil brand that I'm riding, and it's by far my favorite. A really important factor when buying your first foil, I didn't think too much about initially, was buying a foil that you can progress with. It's quite a hassle completely switching systems when you're advancing, and you typically lose out financially. It's much better buying into a brand that has high quality core elements that you're going to be able to hold on to and grow your quiver with as you progress. A few things that I'd like to see from F4. First is a slightly lower aspect foil in that 1500 square centimeter range. I'm still discovering what aspect I prefer most, but I'd like to try something a little bit smaller aspect. From a setup perspective, if I was being really critical, I'd also prefer if they had a system that only required one size Allen key to assemble the wings, fuselage, and mast. The kit comes with all the tools that you need, but the screws to connect the mast to the fuselage are a different size to the screws that connect the mast on the board. I'm sure there's probably a valid reason for the size difference, but it does make for a slightly less seamless assembly and adds another small tool to your toolkit that could potentially be lost or forgotten. The other consideration is the base plate holes. I'm still not sure if I prefer closed base plate holes or open holes. I used to store my base plate screws on my foil base so that I wouldn't lose or forget them, but my F4 mast only has open base plate holes, and I now just store my screws in my actual foil board tracks. Let me know in the comment section which you prefer, open base plate holes or closed. Not sure if there's actually a better choice here, but curious to hear your guys' input. If any of you are sold on my recommendation with F4, please consider using the link that I'm going to put in the description below. I have signed up as an affiliate to get a small commission for any sales generated from people using this link. These types of commissions help fuel this channel, and I don't base my opinions on getting commissions, but it's super helpful and a nice bonus when my opinion aligns with some additional sales potential. Thanks again for watching this video, guys. Make sure to smash that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and stay tuned for more tutorials and wingfoil content from the West Coast.